Contrary maybe to popular belief, when I'm not as high on a prospect, or I'm down on a prospect, or I say they're overrated as piss, yes, there's a part of me that wants to be validated and be right, because ultimately, who really wants to be wrong all the time? Does anybody really truly want to be a failure or not be a success? No, I don't think so. That said, I don't go and inherently root against these guys. I would love nothing more in some of these cases where these guys, they kind of fight against themselves, that don't realize right away their full potential, don't achieve or maximize upon their full potential, eventually grow, mature, figure it out, and they take advantage of opportunities that in no way, shape, or form would I have ever been able to get myself, and they can make a very nice living for themselves and set themselves and their families up well for the rest of their lives. As I sit there and toil away in my freaking 40-hour-a-week crap job like so many other people do that watch sports, I inherently root for these guys to do the best they can, really, and get everything they possibly can. Get what I can't get. If I can't get it, at least make sure somebody else can get it. That said, though, that doesn't mean that I can sit there and just be all rosy petals and sunshine and puppies and beer. I have to be honest and realistic about things that I see. And I feel like over the years, when it comes to me talking about the NFL on social media, and especially here on YouTube, that there are guys that I hit on big time, there are guys that I miss on. The guys that I hit on big, I'll never shut up about. The guys that I miss on, you guys sometimes will never shut up about, but also never acknowledge when I'm right. But that is the nature of the beast. It doesn't really matter, ultimately, whether you are right or wrong. It's all about the style and the flair and the sensationalism, and that's the truth. But I do feel like I have a pretty good track record of sorting through the muck on some of the guys that the draft media, and in particular NFL draft Twitter, get very big on and very huge on. And I'm very good at sorting through the muck on some of those guys and calling them overrated and ultimately being vindicated and proven right. I think several years back, guys like Damontre Moore, guys like Bjorn Werner. I think in recent years, like Robert Nkemdiche, Malik McDowell. You could come up with reasons, justifications, or excuses, but ultimately wrong is wrong and right is right. And in a lot of those cases, when it comes to guys being massively overrated, I have been right more than I've been wrong. And one of the most notable examples of that probably was a couple of years ago with Randy Gregory. From Jump Street, I thought people were completely and totally insane when they were talking about him being a top 5 or a top 10 pick. And they have been proven to be every bit of insane. Now, they might not have known all of the off-the-field stuff that was going to come with it. But it's not even like when he was healthy and playing that he was exactly ripping up shit and dominating the league. Sometimes guys are just stupid. And that is harsh, but life is harsh. Stupid is as stupid does. And Randy Gregory is stupid. Plain and simple. And I worry about a guy like Arden being equally as stupid. And I look at him and I see so many similarities between him and Randy Gregory that I think so many people, having been so high on him for so long, and I think reality started to catch up to a lot of people, I've always felt like they were completely and totally insane. If you've been following my mock drafts for close to a year, I think very early on in the process, I got off of him being a top 5, top 10 pick, got off of him being a top 20 pick, or even a first-round pick at all, or even potentially being a second-round pick at all. Because even when you take out some of the off-the-field stuff and some of those concerns, I feel like you've got a massively overrated prospect. I really do. Like, I know coming off of 2016, a lot of people were very high on him. You see the production, and you see what you think you see, and other people tell you you see, and the truth is that's not really reality. And And the truth is this guy has acted like he's been a freaking mess. There's reports of drug issues where he left the team before the 2017 season. We know he left the team. The reason why is still unknown, but reportedly it's because he went into damn rehab. Rehab. And I'm sorry, typically you're not going to rehab just for marijuana, unless you're trying to get out of something from a legal standpoint. But you're talking about a dude in 2017 who didn't look explosive at all. You're talking about a dude whose weight ballooned between 240 and 270 damn pounds. You're talking about a guy that was mediocre at best against the run, missed way too many tackles, plays a little soft at times, effort level is up and down, inconsistent, feel for the game is above average but not even very good or especially great. Talk about a guy who missed a bunch of games due to injury, struggled with his playing weight, had to have surgery before this past season to repair a partially torn labrum, then broken pinky, sprained MCL in 2017, reports that he didn't interview well at the combine, going along with him leaving the team for God knows what reason, even though we can have our suspicions. Like, how is this not Randy Gregory 2.0? How is this not somebody that you look at and you say, no way? Because even if you talk about him as an edge rusher, people are talking about, oh, he was this great dynamic, explosive player in 2016. Was he truly, really? He may have flashed it at times, but that's all it was. It was a flash. And it was too far and few between, where more often than not that flash came not because of what he did, but opposing blockers did not do. I mean, what the hell are you going to do with a dude whose weight ballooned between 238 and 270 damn pounds? What are you going to do with a long edge rusher who doesn't play particularly explosive, like Arden at 238 pounds? What are you going to do with a guy who's had several different injuries just over the past year? What are you going to do with a guy that had to leave his team last year to get himself right, and even him and his dad have talked about that? What are you going to do with a guy who reportedly has had some drug issues? Like, why in the hell would you touch this guy with a day 1 or a day 2 pick? I mean, really? To me, picking him on one of the first 3 rounds, it would be one of the single biggest gambles and risks in the entire draft, outside of taking a quarterback really high. Because what makes you think that he's going to be any different than Randy Gregory? What makes you think if he had trouble staying focused at LSU, now you give him an NFL paycheck and he's all of a sudden going to whip it into shape and figure it out? What makes you think a guy that had the injury trouble that he had in 2017 is all of a sudden magically going to be able to stay healthy? What makes you think a guy that had the weight issues that he had in 2017 is all of a sudden going to be able to figure it out now that he goes on his own, gets away from the college program, and now has a bunch of money and a bunch of enablers around him? What makes you think this guy is an explosive edge rusher when in 2017 you clearly did not see that? What makes you think that he's a great fit as a 3-4 edge rusher when he plays at times like a guy who runs a 4.9 40? What makes you think that he is a guy that you can count on to be a base defensive end in a 4.3, again at 238 pounds, or even when he's at 270 pounds, he's not really that strong and he's not that explosive. And oh, by the way, he's mediocre against the run and he can have some real trouble setting the edge, and he misses way too many damn tackles. The simple truth is this is one of these guys that is massively overhyped. If people didn't hear about Arden and how special he was for a damn year, they'd go watch him in 2017 and they would look at him and he would scream day 3 pick to him all day long, and that's a fact. And that's even before you get into all the off the field stuff. Like, to me, I have a feeling there are several NFL teams that don't even have him on the draft board. So me putting a raw grade on him of a late 4th round pick is quite generous. Excuse me, in my final draft board, I might put him on there as a 4th rounder just because there's a little bit of pass rush potential. And at that point in time, we're talking about day 3. How much inherent risk is there really? But if your team is thinking about taking him on day 2, they better do their homework, and they better make sure that they got it right. And I really hope that Arden Key can get to the NFL, he can grow, he can mature, and that being a professional will be the best thing that ever happened to him. Because based off of what we've seen and what we hear and what's been reported, there is absolutely no reason to believe that this guy will be anything other than a flaming, overhyped disappointment in his NFL career. Period.